The human warship HSS Intrepid burst into existence on the outskirts of the Epsilon Eridani system, its massive bulk sending shockwaves of fear through the Tzenkethi-controlled space. Alarms blared across the alien star system as the Titan-class battlecruiser, a testament to humanity's technological prowess, emerged from hyperspace. Captain Caleb Murray stood on the bridge, his battle-hardened eyes scanning the tactical displays. The decorated veteran of the Terran-Zyraxian War felt a familiar tension in his muscles as he assessed the situation. The Tzenkethi, a reptilian species known for their isolationist policies and advanced cloaking technology, were about to face the full might of human military power. On the system's primary research station, Izar, a young Tzenkethi scientist, peered through powerful telescopes. His scales bristled with a mix of fear and fascination as he observed the imposing human vessel. The Intrepid's sleek, angular design spoke of its destructive capabilities, a stark contrast to the organic curves of Tzenkethi ships. The Tzenkethi High Command, caught off guard by the sudden human incursion, issued a system-wide alert. Emergency protocols activated across planets, stations, and ships. Panic spread like wildfire among the reptilian population, their usual composure shattered by the unexpected arrival of the fearsome human warship. Captain Murray received a priority transmission from Terran High Command. The message was clear. Humanity had uncovered evidence of a Tzenkethi superweapon capable of destabilizing stars. The Intrepid's mission was to neutralize this threat by any means necessary, even if it meant risking interstellar war. Murray's jaw clenched as he processed the gravity of the situation. As Tzenkethi defense ships scrambled to form a protective barrier around their home planet, Murray ordered the Intrepid to advance deeper into the system. The battlecruiser's powerful engines hummed to life, propelling it forward with purpose. The ship's advanced sensors detected unusual energy readings emanating from a heavily shielded orbital research facility. Suspecting this to be the location of the superweapon, Murray initiated a tactical approach. The Intrepid's weapon systems powered up, ready to unleash devastation if necessary. The tension on the bridge was palpable as the crew prepared for potential combat. Izar, watching the human warship's movements, realized with growing dread that they had discovered the secret project. He attempted to warn his superiors of the impending danger, his clawed hands flying over communication consoles. However, the Tzenkethi leadership, paralyzed by fear and indecision, failed to mount an effective response. Captain Murray, assessing the situation, deployed a squadron of stealth fighters to conduct closer reconnaissance of the research facility. The sleek black vessels detached from the Intrepid, their stealth systems rendering them nearly invisible to Tzenkethi sensors. As the human forces drew near, Izar made a fateful decision. Understanding the potential consequences of inaction, he bypassed his superiors and transmitted an encoded message directly to the Intrepid. The young scientist offered crucial information about the superweapon in exchange for the safety of his people. The unexpected communication caught Captain Murray by surprise. He now faced a crucial decision: trust the alien scientist or proceed with the original plan of forceful intervention. The fate of both species hung in the balance as tensions escalated and the clock ticked down on the potential deployment of the Tzenkethi superweapon. With the HSS Intrepid poised for action and the Tzenkethi frozen in fear, the stage was set for a confrontation that would shape the future of interstellar relations. Captain Murray's next move would determine whether diplomacy or destruction would prevail in the face of this cosmic threat. Captain Murray's eyes narrowed as he studied the unexpected message from the Tzenkethi scientist. The bridge fell silent, the crew holding their breath as they awaited his decision. After a moment of tense deliberation, Murray nodded to his communications officer. "Prepare a stealth insertion team," he ordered, his voice firm. "We're going in." Within minutes, an elite squad led by Commander Jack Harper assembled in the Intrepid's launch bay. As they donned their advanced stealth suits, Harper briefed his team on the high-stakes mission ahead. The team's dropship detached from the Intrepid, its stealth systems rendering it nearly invisible against the backdrop of space. As they approached the orbital research facility, Harper couldn't shake the feeling that they were walking into a trap. Inside the facility, Izar worked frantically at her console, her clawed fingers flying over the controls as she systematically disabled security protocols. Sweat beaded on her scales as she glanced nervously over her shoulder, expecting to be discovered at any moment. Come on, she muttered, her tail twitching with anxiety. Alarms blared throughout the station as Harper's team breached the outer defenses. They moved swiftly through the corridors, their footsteps silent thanks to their advanced gear. Harper held up a closed fist, signaling his team to halt as they approached a junction. "Commander," one of his operatives whispered, "security's lighter than expected. Something's not right." Harper nodded, his instincts on high alert. "Stay frosty, this could be a setup." As they pressed deeper into the facility, Izar abandoned her post and made her way towards the central chamber. Her heart raced as she heard the faint sound of human voices echoing through the halls. Harper and his team finally reached the massive doors of the central chamber. With a nod to his tech specialist, the doors slid open, revealing the colossal superweapon within. The humans stood in awe of the machine, its pulsing energy core casting an eerie glow throughout the room. As the team spread out to gather data, the doors hissed open once more. Harper spun around, weapon raised, to find himself face-to-face with Izar. Their eyes locked, neither daring to move. "Wait," Izar called out, her hands raised in a gesture of peace. "Please, you must listen. This isn't what you think." Harper's finger tensed on the trigger, but something in the Tsenkethi's eyes gave him pause. "Explain, quickly." Izar took a deep breath, her scales shimmering under the harsh lights. "This device, it's not a weapon. It's our last hope for survival." As Izar detailed the impending stellar catastrophe threatening the Tsenkethi homeworld, Harper's team gathered around, their expressions a mix of skepticism and growing concern. "Our sun is dying," Izar explained, pulling up holographic data displays. "This machine is designed to stabilize it, to save our entire civilization from annihilation." Harper studied the data, his brow furrowed in concentration. The evidence was compelling, far too detailed to be a hastily constructed lie. He activated his comm link to the Intrepid. "Captain Murray, this is Harper. Sir, we have a situation here. You're going to want to hear this." Aboard the Intrepid, Murray listened intently as Harper relayed Izar's explanation. The captain's mind raced, weighing the potential consequences of his next decision. "Understood, Commander," Murray said finally. "Hold your position. I'm contacting High Command." As Murray initiated emergency communications with Terran leadership, chaos erupted in space around the Intrepid. Tsenkethi warships, unaware of the delicate negotiations taking place, launched a desperate assault against the human vessel. "Evasive maneuvers," Murray barked, gripping his chair as the ship shuddered under enemy fire. "Defensive systems only. Do not, I repeat, do not return fire." In the research facility, Harper and Izar exchanged worried glances as they felt the tremors of the space battle above. Harper nodded, making a split-second decision. "What do you propose?" Izar's eyes lit up with a mixture of hope and tenacity. "We use the device, not on our sun, but on a nearby unstable star. We can prove its true purpose and end this madness." Harper hesitated for a moment, then nodded. "Do it, but my team will be watching your every move." As Izar and the human operatives worked to prepare the superweapon, Captain Murray received new orders from Terran High Command. His relief was palpable as he turned to his communications officer. "Open a channel to the Tsenkethi fleet," he commanded. "It's time we started talking." In the facility below, Izar's claws danced over the superweapon's controls. The massive device hummed to life, its energy core pulsing with increasing intensity. Harper watched, his hand never far from his weapon, as the young Tsenkethi scientist worked with unwavering focus. "Targeting the Proxima Centauri system," Izar announced, her voice steady despite the pressure. "Initiating stabilization sequence." A beam of concentrated energy erupted from the facility, streaking across space towards its distant target. Harper and his team held their breath, watching the monitors for any sign of success or catastrophic failure. In the tense moments that followed, the fate of two species hung in the balance. The actions of a brave few would determine whether this day would mark the beginning of a new era of cooperation or the outbreak of a devastating interstellar war. The beam of concentrated energy from the Tsenkethi facility streaked across the vast expanse of space, a brilliant lance of light aimed at its distant target. Commander Harper and his team watched the monitors with anxious anticipation, their eyes fixed on the incoming data streams. Izar's claws flew over the controls, making minute adjustments to the beam's trajectory. "Energy output stable," she reported, her voice taut with concentration. "Approaching target star now." The tension in the room was palpable as the beam made contact with the unstable star. For a moment, nothing seemed to happen. Then, slowly but surely, the readouts began to change. "Stellar plasma turbulence decreasing," one of Harper's team members announced, excitement creeping into his voice. "Core fusion reactions are stabilizing." Harper allowed himself a small smile. "Good work, Izar. Now let's hope this is enough to convince both sides to stand down." "Open a channel to the Tsenkethi fleet," Murray ordered, his voice steady despite the chaos of the ongoing battle around them. "And get me a direct line to their high command." As the communications officer worked to establish the connection, Murray turned to his tactical display. The Tsenkethi ships continued their relentless assault, their energy weapons flashing against the Intrepid's shields. "Shields at 62% and holding, sir," his tactical officer reported. Murray nodded grimly. "Maintain defensive posture. Do not return fire unless absolutely necessary." The view screen flickered to life, revealing the scaled visage of the Tsenkethi fleet commander. His eyes narrowed with suspicion as he regarded Murray. "This is Captain Caleb Murray of the HSS Intrepid," Murray began, his tone firm but diplomatic. "I have crucial information regarding the nature of your superweapon. I request an immediate ceasefire to discuss this matter." The Tsenkethi commander's forked tongue flicked out, tasting the air. "Why should we trust the words of an invader?" In response, Murray transmitted the data from the star stabilization demonstration. "This is not an invasion," he explained. "There has been a grave misunderstanding. The device you've created is not a weapon, but a tool for stellar manipulation. We've just witnessed it stabilize a nearby star." The Tsenkethi commander's eyes widened as he reviewed the data. After a tense moment, he barked an order in his native tongue. The attacks on the Intrepid ceased almost immediately. "We will investigate your claims," the commander said, his voice heavy with skepticism. "But be warned, human. Any aggressive action will be met with immediate and overwhelming force." As the diplomatic wheels began to turn, Commander Harper and his team escorted Izar back to the Intrepid. The young Tsenkethi scientist marveled at the sleek interior of the human vessel, her eyes darting from one advanced system to another. Dr. Emil Reeves, the Intrepid's lead scientist, met them in the hangar bay, his weathered face creased with concern as he approached Harper. "Commander, we have a situation," Reeves said, his voice low. "I've been analyzing the data from the superweapon, and I've discovered something troubling." Harper felt a knot form in his stomach. "What is it, Doctor?" Reeves pulled up a holographic display showing a complex series of equations and simulations. "The device works as intended, stabilizing stellar bodies. However, it also generates severe spatial anomalies in the affected star systems. If left unchecked, these anomalies could tear apart the very fabric of spacetime." Izar, who had been listening intently, hissed in surprise. "That's impossible. Our calculations showed no such side effects." "I'm afraid it's very possible," Reeves replied, his tone somber. "Your team likely missed it because the effects only become apparent on a quantum level, far beyond the scope of your initial simulations." Harper ran a hand through his hair, processing the gravity of the situation. "We need to inform the captain immediately." In the conference room, Captain Murray listened intently as Dr. Reeves and Izar presented their findings. The implications were staggering. The very device meant to save the Tsenkethi civilization could potentially doom entire star systems. The revelation of the superweapon's dangerous side effects sent shockwaves through the delicate diplomatic negotiations. The Tsenkethi leaders, initially defensive, soon realized the gravity of the situation. Their pride gave way to a grudging acceptance of the need for cooperation. "We propose a joint task force," Murray offered, seizing the moment. "Our scientists, working together with yours, to modify the superweapon and eliminate these spatial anomalies. The Tsenkethi High Command conferred among themselves before responding. "We accept your proposal, Captain Murray, but understand this. If we detect any deception on your part, the consequences will be severe." As preparations for the Joint Task Force began, a new variable entered the equation. The HSS Titan, a massive dreadnought nearly twice the size of the Intrepid, burst into the system in a flash of light. "Captain, we're being hailed by the Titan," Murray's communications officer reported. "On screen," Murray ordered, straightening his uniform. The stern face of Admiral Viktor Volkov filled the view screen. His steel-gray eyes swept over the bridge before settling on Murray. "Captain Murray," Volkov said, his voice cold and authoritative, "I've been sent by Terran High Command to oversee the situation. I want a full report on why you haven't neutralized the alien superweapon as per your original orders." Murray felt a chill run down his spine. Admiral Volkov's reputation preceded him, a hardline military leader with little patience for diplomatic niceties. "Admiral, the situation has changed," Murray began, choosing his words carefully. "We've discovered that the Tsenkethi device is not a weapon, but a tool for stellar stabilization. We're currently working with the Tsenkethi to—" "Working with them?" Volkov interrupted, his voice sharp. "Captain, need I remind you that the Tsenkethi are a potential threat to human expansion in this sector? That device should be destroyed, regardless of its intended purpose." Murray stood his ground. "With all due respect, Admiral, destroying the device would doom an entire civilization. The Tsenkethi sun is dying, and this is their only hope for survival." Volkov's eyes narrowed. "Your bleeding heart will be the death of you, Murray. I'm taking command of this operation. Prepare to receive my shuttle." As the transmission cut off, Murray turned to his crew. The tension on the bridge was palpable. Commander Harper, who had been silently observing the exchange, stepped forward. "Captain, what are your orders?" he asked, his loyalty evident in his stance. Murray took a deep breath, weighing his options. "We proceed as planned, prepare for the Admiral's arrival, but continue our work with the Tsenkethi. Dr. Reeves, I want you to lead our side of the Joint Task Force. And Commander Harper, keep a close eye on things. We may need to act quickly if the situation deteriorates." As the crew dispersed to carry out their orders, Murray couldn't shake the feeling that they were walking a razor's edge. The fate of two civilizations hung in the balance, and one wrong move could send them spiraling into a conflict that would make their previous misunderstandings seem trivial in comparison. In the research lab aboard the Intrepid, Dr. Reeves and Izar huddled over a complex holographic model of the superweapon. Despite the looming threat of Admiral Volkov's arrival, they focused intently on their work, aware that time was not on their side. "If we recalibrate the quantum harmonics here," Izar suggested, her clawed finger pointing to a specific part of the model, "we might be able to mitigate the spatial distortions." As the two scientists worked, a spark of mutual respect began to grow between them. Their shared passion for discovery transcended the boundaries of their species, creating a bridge of understanding in the midst of interstellar tension. The simulation results flashed across the screen, and both Reeves and Izar leaned in eagerly. Their faces fell as they saw the outcome. "Still not enough," Reeves muttered, frustration evident in his voice. "The anomalies are reduced, but they're still forming at a dangerous rate." Izar's tail swished in agitation. "We're missing something. There has to be a way to stabilize the stars without tearing apart space-time." As they prepared for another round of calculations, the intercom crackled to life. Captain Murray's voice filled the lab, tension evident even through the speaker. "Dr. Reeves, Izar, report to the main hangar bay immediately. Admiral Volkov's shuttle is about to dock. We need to present a united front." Reeves and Izar exchanged worried glances. The arrival of the hardline admiral threatened to upset the delicate balance they had achieved. As they made their way to the hangar bay, both silently vowed to find a solution before it was too late, not just for the sake of their respective species, but for the stability of the entire sector. The weight of responsibility pressed down on Murray as he made his way to the hangar bay, flanked by Dr. Reeves and Izar. The shuttle's landing gear touched down with a soft hiss, and the bay pressurized. Admiral Volkov strode out, his immaculate uniform a stark contrast to the tense atmosphere. His cold eyes swept over the assembled group, lingering on Izar. "Captain Murray," Volkov said, his voice clipped, "I trust you have a good explanation for this collaboration." Before Murray could respond, alarms blared throughout the ship. Lieutenant Commander Sokolov's voice crackled over the intercom. "Captain, the Tsenkethi Sun, it's destabilizing faster than predicted." Murray ignored the Admiral's insinuation. "Dr. Reeves, Izar, back to the lab. We need solutions now." As the scientist rushed off, Murray turned to Volkov. "Admiral, I suggest we continue this discussion on the bridge. The situation is more urgent than you realize." In the research lab, Reeves and Izar worked feverishly, their earlier fatigue forgotten in the face of impending disaster. Holographic models of the Tsenkethi Sun flickered before them, each simulation more dire than the last. "If we recalibrate the quantum harmonics," Izar began, her claws flying over the controls. Their eyes met, a spark of mutual understanding passing between them. Without a word, they both turned to their respective consoles, implementing the changes with practiced efficiency. On the bridge, Murray watched the tactical display with growing concern. The Tsenkethi Sun pulsed ominously, its unstable core sending out waves of deadly radiation. "Captain," his tactical officer reported, "the Tsenkethi homeworld will be uninhabitable within hours if this continues." Volkov stepped forward, his face a mask of drive. "Murray, I'm taking command. Prepare a strike team to seize control of the superweapon." "Belay that order," Murray countered, standing his ground. "Admiral, with all due respect, an aggressive move now could doom both our species." The tension on the bridge was palpable as the two men faced off. Suddenly, Dr. Reeves's voice came over the comm. "Captain, we've done it. We found a way to eliminate the spatial anomalies." Murray allowed himself a small smile. "Excellent work, Doctor. What's the catch?" There was a pause before Reeves replied. "The modified superweapon requires more power than the research facility can generate. We'd need something on the scale of, well, the Intrepid's fusion reactors." Volkov remained silent for a long moment, his internal struggle evident in the tightening of his jaw. Finally, he gave a curt nod. "Make it happen, Captain. But if this goes south, it's on your head." Murray wasted no time. "Commander Harper," he called over the comm, "prepare to transport the superweapon to the Intrepid. We're going to power it with our own reactors." In the research facility, Harper and his team sprang into action. They worked alongside Tsenkethi engineers, carefully dismantling the massive device for transport. "Steady now," Harper cautioned as they maneuvered a critical component. "One wrong move and we could lose everything." As they worked, a squadron of human fighters suddenly dropped out of warp, weapons primed and aimed at the facility. Harper's blood ran cold as he recognized the markings, Volkov's personal attack wing. "Commander Harper," Murray's voice crackled over the comm, tension evident in his tone. "Protect that superweapon at all costs. Use whatever means necessary." Harper's mind raced. He turned to the Tsenkethi chief engineer. "Your shielding technology, can it protect the entire station?" The human fighters circled the station, their weapons proving ineffective against the enhanced shields. Inside, Harper and his team worked frantically to complete the superweapon's transport, acutely aware that their protection might not last forever. On the Intrepid's bridge, Murray watched the unfolding scene with a mixture of anger and disbelief. "Admiral Volkov," he said, his voice dangerously low, "call off your fighters immediately." Volkov stood impassively, his eyes fixed on the tactical display. "I'm ensuring humanity's survival, Captain. Sometimes difficult decisions must be made." Before Murray could respond, the main view screen lit up with a system-wide broadcast. The scaled face of the Tsenkethi High Commander filled the screen, his expression solemn. "People of Epsilon Eridani," the commander began, "we stand at a crossroads. Our sun is dying, threatening the very existence of our civilization. In our desperation, we created a device, not a weapon, but a tool of salvation. And now, in our darkest hour, we have found allies in humanity." The bridge fell silent as the commander continued. detailing the true purpose of the superweapon and the collaboration with the humans. Murray glanced at Volkov, seeing the Admiral's stoic facade begin to crack. As the broadcast concluded, Murray turned to his communications officer. "Get me Commander Harper." Harper's face appeared on the screen, streaked with sweat and grime. "Captain, we've secured the superweapon. Ready for transport." Murray nodded. "Bring it home, Commander. We've got work to do." As the Intrepid's transporters hummed to life, Murray faced Admiral Volkov. "Your orders, sir?" With the immediate threat neutralized, the focus shifted to integrating the superweapon with the Intrepid systems. Dr. Reeves and Izar worked alongside Lieutenant Commander Sokolov, their fingers flying over consoles as they attempted to interface the Tsenkethi technology with the ship's power grid. "The power requirements are astronomical," Sokolov muttered, his brow furrowed in concentration. "We're pushing the reactors to their absolute limits." Izar hissed in frustration as another simulation failed. There must be a way to stabilize the power flow. As they worked, Reeves couldn't help but notice the grace of Izar's movements, the intensity in her eyes. He pushed the thought aside, focusing on the task at hand. Suddenly, Sokolov's eyes widened in alarm. "Captain," he called out, "we have a problem. If we proceed with the current configuration, we risk a catastrophic reactor meltdown." Murray felt the weight of command settle heavily on his shoulders. The lives of his crew balanced against an entire civilization. He looked around the bridge, seeing the perseverance in the eyes of his officers. "Options?" he asked, his voice steady despite the turmoil in his gut. As the science team rattled off potential solutions, each more desperate than the last, Murray noticed a flicker of movement near the tactical station. Major Sarah Chen, Volkov's intelligence officer, was discreetly accessing classified files. Murray's instincts screamed that something was amiss, but he forced himself to focus on the immediate crisis. Time was running out for the Tsenkethi, and the Intrepid now stood as their last, best hope for survival. "Dr. Reeves," Murray called out, "you have 1 hour to find a safe way to power that device. After that," he left the consequences unspoken. As the science team redoubled their efforts, Murray couldn't shake the feeling that they were missing something crucial. The fate of two civilizations hung in the balance, and the true test of their newfound alliance was yet to come. The tension on the bridge was palpable as Murray weighed his options. The lives of his crew balanced precariously against an entire civilization. With a deep breath, he made his decision. "Proceed with the plan," Murray ordered, his voice steady despite the gravity of the situation. "Commander Harper, begin transport of the superweapon immediately." Harper nodded, his face set with dedication. "Aye, Captain. We're on it." In the research facility, Harper assembled a joint human Tsenkethi team to oversee the delicate operation. The massive device loomed before them, its alien contours a stark reminder of the task at hand. "All right, people," Harper addressed the team. "We've got one shot at this. Let's make it count." With practiced precision, the team activated the facility's advanced anti-gravity systems. The superweapon rose slowly from its moorings, suspended in a shimmering field of energy. Harper watched intently as his team guided the device through the narrow corridors, their movements synchronized with the grace of a well-rehearsed dance. As they approached the Intrepid's main hangar, Harper's comm crackled to life. "Commander!" Sokolov's voice came through, tinged with urgency. "We're ready on this end, bringing the hangar shields down now." The cavernous bay yawned open before them, the vastness of space visible beyond. With agonizing slowness, the superweapon was maneuvered into the Intrepid. Harper held his breath as the device cleared the hangar entrance by mere centimeters. "Superweapon secured," Harper reported, allowing himself a moment of relief. "Beginning integration process." In the adjacent lab, Dr. Reeves and Izar wasted no time. Their fingers flew over holographic interfaces, working to bridge the gap between alien technology and human engineering. "The power requirements are off the charts," Reeves muttered, his brow furrowed in concentration. Izar's tail swished in agitation. "We need to create a buffer to prevent feedback loops in your systems," she hissed, her clawed hands manipulating complex energy diagrams. On the bridge, Murray noticed Major Chen's furtive movements at the tactical station. Her fingers danced across the console, accessing classified files with practiced ease. Murray's instincts screamed that something was amiss, but the immediate crisis demanded his full attention. "Major," Murray called out, keeping his voice neutral. "Any insights from our Tsenkethi allies that might help us?" Murray nodded, filing away his suspicions for later. The ship suddenly shuddered, drawing his attention back to the main view screen. Sokolov's voice came over the comm, strained and urgent. "Captain, we're detecting massive power fluctuations in the reactor core. The interface with the superweapon is causing unexpected surges." Murray's expression resolute. "Can you stabilize it?" "Working on it, sir," Sokolov replied, the sound of frantic typing audible in the background. "But I can't guarantee success without shutting down the integration process." "Continue the integration," Murray ordered. "The lives of billions are at stake. We push forward." In the lab, Reeves and Izar made a startling discovery. The holographic model of the superweapon pulsed with energy far beyond their initial calculations. "This changes everything," Izar exclaimed, her eyes wide. "The weapon's output is magnitudes greater than we thought." Reeves nodded, his mind racing. "It increases our chances of success, but it also increases the strain on your ship's systems," Izar finished, understanding the implications. As the Intrepid approached the Tsenkethi sun, the ship's hull groaned under the immense gravitational forces. Engineering teams scrambled to reinforce the structural integrity field, their efforts barely keeping pace with the mounting stress. Murray's voice echoed through the ship's comm system. "All non-essential personnel, report to escape pods immediately. This is not a drill." The corridors filled with organized chaos as crew members made their way to designated evacuation points. Murray remained on the bridge with a skeleton crew, their faces grim but resolute. Just as the ship reached its firing position, alarms blared across every console. Lieutenant Commander Sokolov's voice cut through the cacophony, filled with barely suppressed panic. "Captain, massive solar flare detected, heading directly for the Tsenkethi homeworld. Impact in less than 5 minutes." Murray's blood ran cold. He turned to the science station, where Reeves and Izar worked feverishly. "Doctor, we need that weapon online now." With trembling hands, Reeves initiated the firing sequence. The ship bucked violently as energy surged through its systems. Warning klaxons screamed from every station as one system after another began to fail. "Structural integrity at 47% and falling," an ensign called out, her voice cracking with strain. "Reactor temperature critical," Sokolov reported. "We're redlining across the board." The view screen filled with the angry red glow of the Tsenkethi sun, its surface roiling with turbulent plasma. The solar flare arced towards the planet, a specter of destruction bearing down on billions of innocent lives. In the midst of the chaos, the superweapon hummed to life. A brilliant beam of energy lanced out from the Intrepid, striking the heart of the star. The ship shuddered, metal screaming as it was pushed to its absolute limits. On the bridge, Murray gripped his chair, fist clenched. The fate of 2 civilizations hung in the balance, dependent on this audacious attempt. As the superweapon's energy poured into the Tsenkethi sun, he watched the solar flare's trajectory, praying they weren't too late. The seconds stretched into an eternity as the crew of the Intrepid waited to see if their sacrifice would bear fruit. The ship's systems continued to fail around them, but all eyes remained fixed on the cosmic drama unfolding before them. "Structural integrity at 32% and dropping rapidly," an ensign shouted over the cacophony of alarms. Murray's eyes remained fixed on the main view screen, where the cosmic drama unfolded. The superweapon's energy output surpassed their wildest expectations, not only intercepting the solar flare, but beginning to stabilize the sun's volatile core. Before anyone could celebrate, the ship lurched sickeningly. Sparks erupted from multiple consoles as systems failed in rapid succession. The lights flickered and died, plunging sections of the bridge into darkness. "Main power grid overloaded," Sokolov's voice crackled through the comm. "Switching to emergency power." Murray tapped his communicator. "Engineering, status report." We're venting plasma manually to prevent a reactor meltdown, Sokolov replied, the strain evident in his voice. But we're losing ground fast, Captain. In the adjacent lab, Reeves and Izar worked feverishly, their movements illuminated by the eerie glow of emergency lighting. Suddenly, Izar's scaled hand froze over a holographic display, her eyes widening in horror. By the ancestors, she hissed. Doctor, look at this! Reeves leaned in, his face paling as he processed the data. Captain, he called out urgently, the superweapon, it's not just drawing power from our reactors. It's consuming the ship's very structure. Murray's blood ran cold. Explain, Doctor. The device is breaking down our hull at the molecular level, using it as fuel, Reeves elaborated, his voice shaking. At this rate, the Intrepid will disintegrate completely in a matter of minutes. The weight of command pressed down on Murray like a physical force. He closed his eyes, knowing the choice before him would haunt him for the rest of his days. When he opened them, his decision was made. Continue the operation, he ordered, his voice steady despite the turmoil in his gut. All remaining personnel, evacuate immediately. That's an order. As the bridge crew hesitated, Murray's voice hardened. Move, people! Get to the escape pods now! The skeleton crew sprang into action, racing for the exit. Murray tapped his communicator once more. All hands, this is the captain. Abandon ship. I repeat, abandon ship. Throughout the disintegrating vessel, crew members rushed to evacuation points. Emergency force fields flickered and failed, exposing entire sections to the vacuum of space. The ship's superstructure groaned and buckled, corridors twisting into unrecognizable shapes. In engineering, Sokolov herded his team towards the nearest escape pods. Go! He shouted, manually sealing off a ruptured plasma conduit. I'll be right behind you. As the pods launched, a new vessel shimmered into existence nearby. The sleek lines and scaled hull marked it as a Tsenkethi science ship. On its bridge, Captain Zara watched the unfolding catastrophe with a mixture of awe and horror. By the eternal flame, she murmured, her tail lashing in agitation. They're sacrificing themselves for us. She turned to her crew, her voice ringing with authority. Activate tractor beams. Guide those escape pods to safety. Aboard the HSS Titan, Admiral Volkov stood transfixed before the main view screen. The Intrepid's hull glowed an angry red as it slowly disintegrated, the superweapon's energy beam still lancing into the Tsenkethi sun. Sir, his tactical officer ventured cautiously. Your orders? Volkov's rigid posture softened almost imperceptibly. Move us in, he said quietly. Assist with rescue operations. On the Intrepid's crumbling bridge, Murray worked furiously at the weapons console, manually adjusting the superweapon's targeting. A violent tremor shook the ship, and a support beam crashed down, narrowly missing him. Murray looked up, realizing with grim certainty that his path to the escape pods was now blocked. He allowed himself a moment of regret before refocusing on the task at hand. If these were to be his final moments, he would ensure they counted. The bridge doors hissed open, and Murray whirled to see Commander Harper, clad in a combat exosuit, step through the threshold. Captain! Harper called out, his voice distorted by the suit's external speakers. We need to go now! Harper's response was to stride forward, servos whining as he tore through the debris, blocking Murray's path. With all due respect, sir, he grunted, lifting a massive piece of wreckage. I didn't come all this way to leave you behind. A shuddering impact rocked the ship, and warning klaxons reached a fever pitch. Harper grabbed Murray's arm, practically dragging him towards the exit. Last pod, Captain. Let's move! They raced through twisting corridors, Harper's exosuit smashing through obstacles as the ship disintegrated around them. They reached the final escape pod just as a massive explosion tore through the adjacent section. Harper shoved Murray inside, then leaped in after him, banging his hand on the launch controls. The pod rocketed away from the Intrepid's dying form. The ship's final moments burned into their retinas as a brilliant flash lit up space. As the pod tumbled through the void, Murray and Harper watched in stunned silence as the Tsenkethi sun stabilized. Its violent flares subsided, the the superweapon's energy signature fading as its monumental task reached completion. Their radio crackled to life, and Captain Zara's voice filled the tiny compartment. "Human vessel, this is the Tsenkethi science ship Astraxis. We're locking on with our tractor beam. Prepare for retrieval." As the pod was gently guided towards the Astraxis, Murray exchanged a weary glance with Harper. The immediate danger had passed, but the consequences of their actions were only beginning to unfold. The loss of the Intrepid and its advanced technology would leave humanity vulnerable in this region of space, and questions about the long-term stability of the Tsenkethi sun remained unanswered. Yet as they watched Tsenkethi and human vessels working side by side to retrieve the scattered escape pods, a glimmer of hope sparked in Murray's chest. Perhaps in the crucible of near disaster, the seeds of a lasting peace had been sown. The Astraxis's docking bay loomed before them, its doors opening to receive the battered escape pod. As they touched down, Murray took a deep breath, steeling himself for the challenges that lay ahead. The Intrepid's sacrifice had opened a new chapter in human-Tsenkethi relations, but the story was nowhere near the end. The Astraxis's docking bay hummed with activity as the escape pod touched down. Captain Murray and Commander Harper emerged, their faces etched with exhaustion and the weight of recent events. Captain Zara strode forward to greet them, her scaled tail swishing behind her. "Captain Murray, Commander Harper," she said, her voice a mix of respect and concern. "Welcome aboard the Astraxis. Our medical team is standing by to assess your condition." Zara gestured to a nearby display. "We're coordinating with your HSS Titan to retrieve all escape pods. So far, we've accounted for 87% of the Intrepid's crew." A wave of relief washed over Murray, tempered by the knowledge that not everyone had made it. He watched as more escape pods were brought aboard, crew members stumbling out, some injured, all shell-shocked. Over the next few hours, the rescue operation continued. Murray worked tirelessly alongside Zara, coordinating efforts between the human and Tsenkethi vessels. The Titan's shuttles ferried survivors back and forth, while Tsenkethi medical teams tended to the injured. As the immediate crisis subsided, Murray found himself in the Astraxis's observation lounge, staring at the now stable Tsenkethi sun. The door hissed open, and Admiral Volkov entered, his face a mask of conflicting emotions. Murray turned, straightening instinctively. "As well as can be expected, sir, the Intrepid's loss is significant." Volkov nodded, his eyes softening slightly. "Your actions saved billions of lives, Murray, both human and Tsenkethi." Before Murray could respond, alarms blared throughout the ship. Captain Zara's voice echoed over the comm system. "All senior officers to the bridge immediately!" Murray and Volkov rushed to the Astraxis's command center, where they found Zara, Reeves, and Izar huddled around a holographic display. "We've detected a massive energy surge from a nearby star system," Zara explained, her tail lashing with agitation. "The signature matches our sun's instability before you stabilized it." Reeves looked up, his face pale. "If we're right, another inhabited world could be at risk." Murray stepped forward, studying the display. Despite his exhaustion, his mind raced with possibilities. "We need to investigate," he said firmly. "If there's a chance we can prevent another catastrophe, we have to try." Volkov frowned. "Captain, you and your crew have been through hell. Perhaps it's best if—" "With all due respect, Admiral," Murray interrupted, "we're the ones with the most experience in this situation. We need to be there." A tense moment passed before Volkov nodded reluctantly. "Very well. I'll authorize a joint task force. The Titan will lead, with the Astraxis and Tsenkethi support ships providing backup." Within hours, the hastily assembled fleet was underway. On the Titan's bridge, Murray stood beside Volkov, watching as stars streaked by on the interface. In the adjacent science lab, Reeves and Izar worked feverishly, analyzing the energy surge data. As they approached the affected system, tension mounted. Suddenly, Reeves burst onto the bridge, his eyes wide. "Captain, Admiral, we've made a discovery. There's an inhabited planet orbiting the unstable star." The revelation sent shockwaves through the bridge. Murray turned to Volkov, his voice urgent. "Sir, we need to act. These people have no idea what's coming." His words were cut short as the ship rocked violently. The tactical officer's voice rang out. "Massive solar flare detected! It's heading straight for the planet!" Murray's training kicked in. "Helm, move us into position between the star and the planet. Tactical, divert all power to forward shields." As the Titan maneuvered into place, the view screen filled with the angry red glow of the unstable star. The ship shuddered as the solar flare struck, the shields straining under the onslaught. In the science lab, Reeves and Izar made a breakthrough. "Captain," Reeves' voice crackled over the comm, "we've identified the source of the instability. There's some kind of artifact orbiting within the star's corona. It's malfunctioning, causing these violent fluctuations." Murray's mind raced. "Can we neutralize it?" The implication hung heavy in the air. Murray exchanged a glance with Volkov, both men understanding the gravity of the situation. "I'll do it," a voice said from behind them. They turned to see Commander Harper, his eyebrows furrowed. "I have the combat and piloting experience. I can get it done." Murray wanted to object, to protect his friend and officer. But he knew Harper was right. "All right, Commander. But understand, this could be a one-way trip." Harper nodded solemnly. "I know, sir. But if we don't act, an entire civilization will be wiped out. It's worth the risk." As preparations began for Harper's mission, the situation grew more dire. The Titan's shields weakened under the constant barrage of solar radiation. On the planet below, instruments detected rising temperatures and dangerous atmospheric changes. In the shuttle bay, Murray watched as Harper climbed into the modified craft. The shuttle's hull gleamed with experimental shielding, its aft section housing the jury-rigged superweapon. "Good luck, Commander," Murray said, clasping Harper's hand. "And come back in one piece. That's an order." Harper managed a grim smile. "I'll do my best, sir." The shuttle bay doors opened, revealing the chaotic vista of the unstable star. With a final nod to Murray, Harper engaged the engines. The shuttle shot forward, quickly dwindling to a tiny speck against the star's roiling surface. On the bridge, all eyes were glued to the view screen. Murray stood rigid, his fists clenched at his sides. The shuttle's telemetry data scrolled across a nearby display, showing its perilous descent into the star's corona. "Shuttle approaching the artifact," the science officer reported, her voice tense. 30 seconds to optimal firing range." The seconds ticked by with agonizing slowness. Suddenly, the ship rocked violently. "Another solar flare forming!" the tactical officer shouted. "Massive energy buildup detected." Murray leaned forward, his eyes never leaving the shuttle's trajectory. "Come on, Harper," he muttered. "You can do this." As the star's surface erupted in a cataclysm of plasma and energy, the tiny shuttle reached its target. For a moment, nothing happened. Then a brilliant beam of energy lanced out from the craft, striking the hidden artifact. The effect was immediate and awe-inspiring. The star's violent convulsions began to subside, its color shifting from angry red to a more stable yellow. On the displays, energy readings started to normalize. A cheer went up on the bridge, but Murray remained focused on the shuttle's readouts. As the star stabilized, the tiny craft's signal became erratic. "Commander Harper, do you read?" Murray called out, his voice tight with concern. "Harper, come in!" Static filled the comm channel. The bridge crew held their breath, watching for any sign of the shuttle emerging from the star's corona. As seconds stretched into minutes, the reality of Commander Harper's sacrifice began to sink in. Murray closed his eyes, a mix of grief and gratitude washing over him. They had saved an entire civilization, but at a terrible cost. As he opened his eyes, he saw the Astraxis and other Tsenkethi ships moving into orbit around the now stable star. Captain Zara's voice came over the comm. "Titan, we're detecting signs of recovery in the planet's atmosphere. Whatever Commander Harper did, it worked." "Captain," the science officer interrupted, her voice filled with disbelief. "I'm detecting a faint signal from within the star's corona. It's the shuttle." The bridge erupted in a flurry of activity. Murray leaned forward, hardly daring to hope. "Harper, Commander, do you read?" Through a haze of static, a weak voice replied, "Captain, mission accomplished, but I could use a tow if it's not too much trouble." Relief flooded through Murray as he turned to the helm. "You heard the man. Let's bring our hero home." As the Titan moved to retrieve the battered shuttle, Murray couldn't help but feel a sense of optimism. They had faced impossible odds and emerged victorious. The newly forged alliance between humans and Tzenkethi had proven its worth, and together they had saved not one but two civilizations from destruction. Yet as he watched the shuttle being guided into the Titan's bay, Murray knew their work was just the beginning. The mysterious artifact that had caused the star's instability raised new questions, and the presence of an unknown pre-spaceflight civilization added layers of complexity to an already delicate situation. With a deep breath, Murray squared his shoulders. Whatever challenges lay ahead, he was confident that together they would find a way forward. The rescue of Commander Harper was just the beginning of a new chapter in their ongoing mission of exploration and diplomacy. As the shuttle bay doors closed behind the rescued Commander Harper, Captain Murray allowed himself a moment of relief. But the respite was short-lived. Alarms blared across the Titan's bridge, drawing everyone's attention back to the volatile star. "Captain, we're detecting massive energy fluctuations from the star's core," reported the science officer, her fingers flying over the console. "The artifact's power signature is becoming increasingly erratic." Murray's mind focused as he studied the readouts. The star's instability was escalating at an alarming rate, far beyond their initial projections. He turned to Admiral Volkov, who stood rigid beside him, lines of worry etched deep on his face. "Sir, we need to act fast," Murray said, his voice low and urgent. "If we don't stabilize that artifact soon, we'll lose not just the alien planet, but possibly this entire system." Volkov nodded grimly. "Agreed, but how do we approach this? Our understanding of the artifact is limited at best." Before Murray could respond, the ship rocked violently. On the screen, a massive solar flare erupted from the star's surface, hurtling towards the alien planet. The Titan lurched into motion, positioning itself between the star and the planet. The impact of the solar flare was devastating. The ship groaned under the strain, its shields flickering dangerously. "Shields down to 32%, the tactical officer reported, his voice tight with tension. "We can't take another hit like that, sir." In the adjacent science lab, Dr. Reeves and Izar worked feverishly, analyzing the data transmitted by Commander Harper before his rescue. Their eyes widened as they made a startling discovery. "Captain!" Reeves's voice crackled over the comm. "The artifact, it's not just causing the instability. It's a stellar regulator, part of some kind of ancient network." Murray exchanged a look with Volkov. "A regulator? You mean it's supposed to be stabilizing the star?" "It's risky," Volkov said, stroking his chin thoughtfully. "But the potential benefits, we can't pass up this opportunity." Murray nodded in agreement. "We'll need to combine our technologies. The Tzenkethi shields and our propulsion systems might give us a chance to reach the artifact." As they began formulating a plan, a new alert sounded from the tactical station. "Sir, we're detecting a small spacecraft launching from the planet's surface. It appears to be on an intercept course with our fleet." The bridge fell silent as the gravity of the situation sank in. The pre-spaceflight civilization below was now aware of their presence, complicating an already precarious situation. Murray stepped forward, his expression resolute. "Admiral, with your permission, I'd like to lead a diplomatic team to the planet's surface. We need to explain the situation to their leaders, prevent panic, and possibly gain their cooperation." As Murray assembled his team, a mix of human and Tzenkethi representatives, Volkov prepared for his own mission. The Admiral would lead the repair team to the artifact, a dangerous journey into the star's corona. In the shuttle bay, Murray watched as Volkov's team boarded their modified craft. The shuttle's hull gleamed with a combination of Tzenkethi shielding and human propulsion technology, a testament to their newfound cooperation. "Good luck, Admiral," Murray said, clasping Volkov's hand. "Be careful out there." Volkov managed a tight smile. "You too, Captain. Let's hope these aliens are in a listening mood." The alien delegation approached cautiously, They were roughly humanoid, with iridescent skin and large multifaceted eyes. Their leader, distinguished by elaborate markings, stepped forward. Murray raised his hands in a gesture of peace. "We come as friends," he began, his words translated by a device developed jointly by human and Tsenkethi linguists. "Your world is in grave danger, and we're here to help." The alien leader's multifaceted eyes narrowed. "Who are you? Why should we trust beings from beyond our skies?" As Murray began the delicate task of explaining their presence and the impending disaster, Volkov's team approached the artifact deep within the star's corona. The shuttle's enhanced shields strained against the intense heat and radiation. "We're approaching the device," Volkov reported back to the Titan, "beginning final approach for docking." Inside the artifact, Volkov and his team made a startling discovery. Holographic logs activated, revealing the history of the device's creators, an ancient species that had seeded life throughout the galaxy. "My God," Volkov breathed, staring at the alien script scrolling before him. "This changes everything we thought we knew about our origins." As Volkov's team raced to repair the regulator, Murray continued his diplomatic efforts on the planet's surface. The alien leaders listened with a mix of skepticism and growing concern as he outlined the situation. "You must understand," Murray pleaded, "the fate of your entire world hangs in the balance. We need your trust and cooperation to save not just your people, but potentially countless other civilizations." The alien leader stepped closer, studying Murray intently. "Your words are grand, Sky Dweller, but how can we be certain you speak the truth?" Before Murray could respond, the sky above them erupted in a blinding flash of light. The star flared violently, bathing the planet in waves of intense radiation. The aliens cried out in fear and confusion. Murray's communicator crackled to life. "Captain!" It was Reeves, his voice urgent. "The artifact is destabilizing further. Admiral Volkov's team is attempting emergency repairs, but they're running out of time. If they fail, the star will go supernova within hours." As panic began to spread among the aliens, Murray realized that the success of both missions, Volkov's repair attempt and his own diplomatic effort, would determine not just the fate of this world, but the future of human and Tsenkethi relations, and their place in a vast, ancient galactic legacy. The alien leader turned to Murray, fear and desperation evident in their multifaceted eyes. "What would you have us do, Sky Dweller?" Murray's relief was short-lived as his communicator crackled to life again. "Captain," Dr. Reeves's voice came through, tinged with excitement and urgency. "We've made a breakthrough. The artifact logs reveal a fail-safe mechanism left by the precursors. It could buy us time, but we need to act fast." Murray quickly relayed the information to the alien leader, emphasizing the need for immediate action. "We need to evacuate your people to underground shelters. It's the only way to ensure their safety during this crisis." The alien leader nodded, turning to their advisors to issue rapid-fire orders in their native tongue. As the evacuation plans were set in motion, Murray's attention was drawn to a commotion at the edge of the gathered crowd. A tall, imposing alien pushed his way forward, his iridescent skin adorned with intricate patterns that seemed to pulse with an inner light. "Heresy!" he shouted, his voice carrying over the din. "These sky dwellers bring nothing but lies and destruction." The alien leader's expression hardened. "Zor, this is not the time for your zealotry. Our world is in danger." "Our world is in danger because we have angered the gods," Zor countered, gesturing dramatically at the roiling sky. "These are signs of their displeasure. We must appease them, not hide like cowards." Murray watched as Zor's words seemed to sway a portion of the crowd. The situation was rapidly spiraling out of control. He turned to the alien leader, his voice low and urgent. "We need to move quickly. Every moment we delay puts more lives at risk." As the alien world teetered on the brink of chaos, Admiral Volkov and his team fought their own battle within the star's corona. The shuttle's interior was bathed in an eerie red glow from the emergency lights, sweat beading on the crew's foreheads as they worked feverishly to repair the ancient device. "Status report," Volkov barked, his hands deep in a tangle of alien circuitry. "Not good, sir," his engineer replied, her voice strained. "That last solar flare fried our propulsion system. We're operating on emergency power, and life support is down to 30%. Sir, the linguist called out, her eyes wide. I think I've deciphered more of the logs. The fail-safe mechanism, it's not just going to stabilize the star. It's going to release a massive electromagnetic pulse. The implications hit Volkov like a physical blow. An EMP of that magnitude would knock out every piece of advanced technology in the system. We'd be stranded here, and that alien civilization would be thrown back into a pre-industrial age. As Volkov grappled with this new information, Commander Harper and Captain Zara prepared for their desperate mission aboard the hybrid fighter. The sleek craft hummed with power, a fusion of human and Tzenkethi technology that represented the best hope for activating the failsafe. Pre-flight checks complete, Zara reported, her fingers dancing over the alien controls with practiced ease. We're ready for launch. Harper nodded, his face pale but determined. Let's do this. As the fighter streaked towards the turbulent star, Dr. Reeves and Izar worked frantically to fine-tune the energy pulse generator. The device was a hodgepodge of human and Tzenkethi components, held together as much by hope as by engineering. If we adjust the quantum resonance here, Izar suggested, pointing to a glowing diagram, we might be able to increase the pulse's precision by 0.03%. On the bridge of the HSS Titan, Captain Murray's face appeared on the main view screen, his expression grim. The situation planetside is deteriorating. A religious faction is stirring up trouble, making the evacuation difficult. How much time can you buy us? Before anyone could respond, alarms blared across the bridge. Captain, the science officer called out, her voice tight with concern. We're detecting multiple spatial anomalies forming at the edge of the system. They match the theoretical models for Tzenkethi superweapon side effects. The tension on the bridge ratcheted up another notch as the implications sank in. The malfunctioning stellar regulator wasn't just threatening this star system, it was potentially tearing holes in the fabric of space-time itself. As the crisis deepened on multiple fronts, Harper and Zara's fighter plunged into the star's chromosphere. The ship bucked and shuddered, battling against solar winds and radiation that threatened to tear it apart. Approaching the failsafe trigger point, Zara announced, her voice steady despite the chaos around them, preparing to initiate the energy pulse. Just then, Volkov's voice crackled over the comm, distorted by interference from the star. Harper, Zara, hold off on activating the failsafe. We've discovered a complication. The pulse will trigger a massive EMP, disabling all technology in the system. Once you activate it, there's no coming back. You'll be stranded in there with no hope of rescue. Harper and Zara exchanged a look, the weight of the decision pressing down on them. Billions of lives hung in the balance, but activating the failsafe could mean sacrificing themselves and potentially dooming the task force. Harper's hand hovered over the activation switch, his eyes meeting Zara's. What do we do? The question hung in the superheated air of the cockpit, unanswered, as the star raged around them and the clock ticked inexorably towards zero. Their hybrid fighter plunged deeper into the star's chromosphere, battling against solar winds that threatened to tear the craft apart. The cockpit filled with an otherworldly glow as they navigated through colossal solar prominences, their path illuminated by the furious dance of plasma around them. Hull integrity at 62% and falling, Zara reported, her fingers flying over the controls. We're approaching the failsafe trigger point. Harper's eyes remained fixed on the readouts, sweat beading on his forehead despite the environmental controls. Almost there, just a little further. You've seen the evidence. You know the threat we face, Murray said, his voice steady despite the chaos around them. Then, in a move that shocked even his own team, he reached up and unsealed his protective helmet. The alien crowd gasped as Murray removed the helmet, exposing himself to the planet's atmosphere. He took a deep breath, fighting back a cough as his lungs adjusted to the slightly thicker air. Initiate the global evacuation, the leader commanded. All citizens are to proceed to the underground shelters immediately. As the evacuation order spread across the planet, Zor and his followers made their move. The zealot's voice boomed over the din of the panicking crowds. Do not listen to these false prophets, Zor shouted, his iridescent skin pulsing with agitation. The end times are upon us. We must face our judgment, not hide from it. Murray watched in horror as Zor's followers began to form human chains in front of shelter entrances, blocking access to safety. Meanwhile, aboard the crippled shuttle near the ancient artifact, Admiral Volkov worked feverishly. Alarms blared as life support systems failed one by one, and the acrid smell of burned circuitry filled the air. "Sir, radiation levels are critical," his engineer reported, her voice strained. "We have minutes at most before the shielding fails completely." Volkov nodded, not looking up from the tangle of wires and alien technology before him. "Understood. Reroute all remaining power to this console. We have one shot at this." With a series of expert movements, Volkov connected the shuttle's power core directly to the artifact's systems. The ancient machine hummed to life, projecting a shimmering field around the shuttle. "It's working," Volkov breathed, allowing himself a moment of relief. "Broadcast a tight beam message to Harper and Zara. They need to know about this development." In the star's chromosphere, Harper and Zara's fighter shuddered as they reached the trigger point. Their comms crackled to life with Volkov's message. "No time to second guess," Harper said, looking at Zara. "We have to trust the Admiral's work." Harper's hand came down on the activation switch. For a heartbeat, nothing happened. Then a blinding flash erupted from their fighter, engulfing the star's core in a radiance that outshone the sun itself. The ancient machinery of the stellar regulator groaned to life, its systems engaging for the first time in millennia. The star's violent flares began to subside, its fury tamed by the precursor's technology. But their victory was short-lived. The promised electromagnetic pulse expanded outward at near-light speed, washing over Harper and Zara's fighter. Their systems flickered and died, leaving them tumbling helplessly in the star's outer layers. On the alien world, the pulse manifested as a breathtaking display of auroras that lit up the sky. In an instant, every piece of advanced technology went dark. The suddenly silent city left Murray and his team cut off from the task force, surrounded by panicked aliens. In orbit, the HSS Titan and the Tsenkethi vessels were not spared. Bridge crews worked frantically to restore basic functions, their efforts hampered by the complete loss of electronic systems. Dr. Reeves and Izar found themselves thrust into a leadership role, their expertise with both human and Tsenkethi technology proving invaluable. They gathered a team of engineers from both species, working to construct a primitive communication system using Tsenkethi crystals resistant to electromagnetic interference. "If we can align these crystals just right," Izar explained, his movements precise as he manipulated the delicate structures, "we should be able to generate a carrier wave strong enough to reach the planet's surface." As hours passed, the situation for Harper and Zara grew increasingly dire. Their fighter drifted ever closer to the star's surface, its hull creaking under the intense heat and pressure. Inside the cockpit, the two pilots conserved their movements, trying to preserve what little oxygen remained in their rapidly failing life support system. "If this is it," Harper said, his voice weak, "I'm glad it's with you, Zara. We made a good team." Zara's alien features softened, her multifaceted eyes reflecting the star's glow. "We're not done yet, Harper. Our peoples have overcome too much to fail now." As if in answer to Zara's words, a shadow fell across their viewport. A Tsenkethi rescue ship, its hull gleaming with minimal electronics, appeared before them. Mechanical grapples extended, securing the damaged fighter. "This is Captain Tavrel of the Tsenkethi rescue team." A voice crackled over their emergency radio. "Hold tight, heroes. We're bringing you home." In a display of piloting skill that would be studied for years to come, the Tsenkethi ships carefully maneuvered Harper and Zara's fighter away from the star's deadly embrace. As they were towed to safety, the two pilots allowed themselves to hope for the first time since activating the failsafe. On the planet's surface, Murray's team worked tirelessly alongside the alien leaders to maintain order. The loss of technology had sparked panic among some, but the successful stabilization of the star had convinced many of the off-worlders' good intentions. To Murray's surprise, Zor approached him, the zealot's earlier fervor replaced by a look of humility. "Sky Dweller," Zor said, his voice low, "I was wrong to doubt you. How can I help calm my people?" Murray clasped Exor's shoulder, a gesture of solidarity that transcended their differences. Together we'll guide them through this. Your voice carries weight. Use it to spread hope, not fear. As the hours stretched into days, systems across the task force slowly came back online. Admiral Volkov's team, protected by the artifact's field, completed the stellar regulator's repairs. The ancient device hummed with renewed purpose, not only stabilizing the star but also beginning to mend the spatial anomalies that had formed at the system's edge. The alien government has agreed to our proposal, Murray reported. They're ready to sign a treaty of friendship and cooperation with both humanity and the Tsenkethi. A cheer went up across the bridge, human and Tsenkethi crew members alike celebrating this historic moment. As the star system began its long journey towards recovery, the foundations of a new era of interstellar cooperation were being laid, a future forged in the crucible of crisis, but bright with the promise of unity and discovery.
You have reached the end of the story. If you enjoyed this story and want to support us, please leave a like and subscribe to our channel, and for every comment that says 88, I will heart every single one of them. Thank you for your time.